So this is a talk that I recently did, and I'll start off with a real story of mine. I'll talk about the good, bad, and ugly about burnout, talk about how stress drives burnout, and then we'll do a live demo. And there's a few other tips that will help you to recover from burnout or prevent burnout as well. So starting off, my name is Gabe Kwakyi. So I've spent about 12 years in technology field working for Microsoft and a couple other startups. I worked for and ran an agency for several years. Now I am CEO of a sign languages learning app called Lingvano. And through these experiences, I went through two different burnouts as well as a quarter life crisis. And that led me to do a career pivot through my journey where I wrote a book explaining the process of going through a burnout and recovering, my own story, going deeper into it, over 50 citations about psychology, the biology, the neuroscience of burnout and quarter life crisis and what's going on, and then tips on coaching. So I actually trained to be a career coach. I did a program for about a year, and I've worked with over 60 clients at this point, really specializing in burnout and quarter life crisis. So check out the book. It's on Amazon, Kindle, and paperback. So as I'll get to in a couple slides here, burnout has its roots often from experiences that we have in formative years of our life or even early adulthood that we carry with us into the way that we approach work and the way that work fits into our lives. So for me, burnout seeds were planted after I went into entrepreneurship and co-founded an ad agency. And the same month that that happened, my mom passed away from cancer. And that really hit me harder than I realized. At the time, I took 2 days off from work, then went right back to it, trying to find an escape from that. I really didn't take the time to process the grief. And that was what helped plant the seeds for burnout. Work was an outlet for me. Work was going really well. Before that, I was working for Microsoft. Everything was going really well. A lot of validation from that. And so when I started to feel bad, work was the place that I went to feel good again. It was what I felt I could control. Work became more and more of my focus. I spent less and less time, and the rest of my life outside of work. My ability to detach from work and kind of reduce the stress went down. And so over time, it just overwhelmed me. My first burnout was about 20 months from the kind of initial periods of it to the recovery stage. And while the breaking point was in July 2020, the start of burnout really happened months before that. In the book, I share more about what that was like in the early stages. And one example, for instance, was I was living in New York at the time, and I was just wandering around the streets one day, and I was as if I was in a daze. And I suddenly found myself wandering from the Hudson River all the way to Lower East Side, where Cat's Deli and the neon sign was shining there. And I really couldn't identify how I got there. And just this wasn't the life that I really wanted to be living. But I felt like I had no choice. I had to keep going in that. After reaching that breaking point, my co-founder and I decided to shut down our company. And that took a process of several months. And by the end of it, I actually went and took a break, went and traveled around California and Hawaii for a little bit. And I really got to feeling pretty good. And I got to feeling so good that I actually felt like, oh, I can go back to a similar work environment again and I'll be fine this time. And that was not the case. I needed to learn the lesson again. Environment is one of the big factors that can really drive and maintain burnout. And so it's really important to realize the impact that environment has on you for both good and bad. And so going back into the same environment of working in an ad agency again, I started to feel the same symptoms of burnout just after 2 months coming into the job. And so this second burnout it lasted about 10 months. And during the middle part of that, going towards the end, I also had a third life crisis, really difficult experience going through this. But in August 2022, I got to being recovered. So through that experience, I learned a lot of different things. And so one of my passions and things that I like to do is to share what I've learned with others. I've had a lot of good feedback in other YouTube videos and the blog and the book. And so when burnout really rears its ugly head, it can feel like all these things. This last one in particular is one of the most kind of real talk, what burnout feels like. These are all quotes from people that are describing what burnout feels like to them. Burnout feels like emotional exhaustion alongside a feeling of doom and overwhelm. It's like when you dread waking up for work every day. It's not only the Sunday scaries, it's the everyday scaries. Burnout can be really ugly, especially the later stages of burnout. The bad about burnout is that it's complicated. As mentioned, experiences can really form the way that we manage work. We think about how work fits into our lives, what we do at work, what we do outside of work. For instance, having demanding parents or people in your life that are really pushing you and making you feel like you've got to keep pushing, and that's just the way that life is. Maybe you had uncertainty, instability in your life. There was anxiety, perhaps growing up, or even in your early years of adulthood, or even after that. You know, burnout can happen at any point in somebody's life, and so just experiences can really shape you to the point where you're vulnerable to burnout. Having a significant loss or a scare, or having a feel of failure or rejection. Maybe you experience those and you never want to have that rejection or that failure again. Those can push you, those experiences can push you to develop traits which put you more at risk for burnout. Perfectionism, the need for control, the drive to overachieve, please people because you feel like you've got to do that to be okay. These traits can lead to beliefs and behaviors such as you can't say no, you have to micromanage because you need to make sure that the outcomes are good. You can't leave it to chance. You can't prioritize. You have so many things to do, but you don't know which is most important. So you just try to do them all. And you can't draw boundaries between work and your life outside of work. These are things that can all lead to the point of burnout. But the good is that no matter how bad it gets, you're not damaged goods. You can recover. In my experiences, I felt like, well, I'm never going to be employed in business again because I'm going to have a gap in my resume and I can't, figure out how to manage advertising campaigns again. Like I would never get a job in tech again. The clouds are there around you in the moment. It can be very ugly, but your life is much bigger than the moment of burnout that you may be going through. So that's some of the good. The good is that there are also clear actions that you can take that can help you to recover. It's important that you take these actions, that you figure out what those actions are. So good on you for watching this YouTube video and stick with it. It's very important to make changes right now. If you're going through a period of burnout, it means that something's not working in your life. Something has to change for your own health and well-being, your sanity. And if you embrace that, that can be a really solid move for you that can bring your life to a better place of maturity and development. Burnout happens in 5 stages. In the model here, it's the honeymoon period first. Everything feels like it's great. You feel like you're really challenged. You're excited by the work that you're doing. It feels meaningful. You're learning. Everything's going well. And eventually, honeymoon ends and you have the stress onset. Okay, this is natural. Everyone will make it out of the honeymoon period at some point. And the stress is actually not a bad thing. Stress is neutral. In fact, we need stress to be able to navigate our lives. There's this concept called the U curve of stress. With too little stress, we have bored out, or we're just really not engaged in life. We can become kind of depressed. If you have too much stress, that's where burnout happens, anxiety happens. But stress comes on, and the point that leads you to burnout is when you hit this inflection point. And if the stress becomes chronic, meaning that day in, day out, week in, week out, you're always exhausted, you're always feeling stressed. It's like you can't get away from it. That's when you really go down the path of burnout. And what's important to note is that burnout isn't just a one-time thing. As my example shows, you can fall into burnout multiple times. And so some people fall into this habitual burnout, where if you're not making the changes that can help you to cope with stress and to get out of that environment that's burning you out, you can go into a burnout. It gets bad, and then you recover just enough to be able to work hard again, and you can find yourself pulled back into burnout and to go into these cycles of habitual burnout. So why is stress a problem? Stress is at basic just an old system. It was designed long ago, thousands of years ago, and its job was to help us survive. But we're still operating on this old hardware, this old system of stress, even now when it no longer really fits our needs. In the African savannah, when we needed to run away from the lion, or when we were being attacked by barbarian invaders, we had to fight or flee and run away. And so stress was this reaction system that gave us physical agility, superpowers. Our heartbeat elevates, our pupils dilate. we get ready to move and use our body. And actually, stress narrows our thinking so that we're not trying to think about, well, what direction should I run or how should I engage this person in combat? You're just in a reactive state when you're stressed. But the issue is that we don't need these physical superpowers in modern life anymore. Stress is antithetical to being able to navigate a conversation. Stress gets your body physically ready to respond to the stress. What we need is intelligence. We need emotional intelligence. We have to have a calm, rational conversation about how we navigate this project at work, or how we navigate this conflict that we have between ourselves and our boss or our clients or our colleagues. So this is part of the issue. We have this old system of stress that's still getting triggered when we see an email from a boss that says meeting 3:30, no subject line, and you've been maybe not doing so well in the project. That triggers your stress system. And part of the issue is that a stressed mind is not a rational mind. A stressed mind cannot think properly. That's the byproduct of stress. The stress system throws everything in the kitchen sink at solving the problem of surviving. And so it's very damaging over time. If you react to stress by immediately responding to the email, by skipping lunch to finish the presentation, by just saying yes because you don't want to take the risk that your job maybe is in danger, you do before you allow the stress to process through and then respond appropriately, that creates more stress. And so stress accumulation is the problem. Stress itself is not the problem. So how do you solve the stress to burnout cycle? You've got to start by addressing the stress that's accumulating in your body. Even if it's not accumulating, you've got to figure out how to prevent it from accumulating. Stress is one of the big causes of burnout. And that's one thing that makes it worse because you're trying to think your way through solving for burnout when your body is just beset by stress. And first, you need to focus on reducing the stress in your body. Then, once you have enough mental bandwidth, you've got to think about changing the way you manage work. And you've got to think about how your beliefs and behaviors in the bigger picture affect the way that you see work as part of your life. One of the things that drives burnout is where you're so attached to work because it's so meaningful or it's such a big part of your life. It's difficult to draw the boundaries between work and life, and work keeps bleeding into the rest of your life because there's not other things that you can go to that can pull you away from work. So starting off with how to manage the stress in your body. Stress cycles. This is an important concept to learn. Stress cycles comes from a book by Emily and Amelia Nagoski. There's a Burnout, great book. I would recommend reading that. When you get stressed, there are 6 stages that happen from start to finish the stress cycle. The first is that the stressor appears. In the ancient days, this was, you see the lion's ears in the grass and you get ready to run, or you see somebody coming towards you aggressively, you get stressed. In the modern days, this could be an email, could be a Slack notification, a conversation, or something you overhear. The stressor initiates the stress cycle automatically. This is important to note. That almond there refers to the amygdala, which is part of the stress response system. The way it exactly happens, you don't need to know so much about the details. But what's important to note here is really that the stress response is automatic. You don't have to think about becoming stressed. You are stressed automatically. But the issue is that even when the stressor is handled or it disappears, you respond to the email and now you think you're good. The presentation that you were worried about and anxious about is over. It doesn't mean that the stress response that your body initiated automatically deactivates. Once the stress response system is deactivated, that's when your body is resting and recovering the damage from stress and enabling you to not accumulate stress in your body over time. But the problem is that, again, this process of resting and recovering from stress is not automatic. That only happens when there are certain cues that your body recognizes as I'm safe. It's okay to not carry the stress anymore. And these cues are physiological. You can't think, I'm done with this presentation, turn off the stress. Your body doesn't respond to that. It's kind of like thinking, okay, I need to fall asleep right here, right now, go. Your body is not going to respond to that and bring you to sleep. You've got to calm your breathing. You've got to do things lay your head on a pillow, close your eyes. You got to do things that your body physiologically realizes is, oh, it's time to sleep. So too with the stress deactivation. But why does this happen? This is because when the stress response system was evolved thousands of years ago, your body didn't know when it's safe. Let's say that you were running from a lion and you run into a stand of trees. You look behind you and you don't see the lion anymore. Does it mean that the lion's gone, that you're not in danger anymore? You don't know. So your body knew that in order to survive, you had to immediately get physically ready to run away or to fight. Your body didn't know when it was time to turn off the stress response. If the lion, you turned around and you saw the lion all of a sudden jump at you, you had to still be in a stressed mode so that you could still have the superpowers to keep running. That's why the body doesn't turn off the stress system automatically. Now, what does turn off the stress system? Think physiological responses. Use your body physically in order to use the stress. So this means, for instance, going for a run, doing a bunch of jumping jacks, or going to the gym. Now, that in and of itself, it is more stress to your body, but so long as you do that exercise and then you cool down, stretch, you go for a walk, allow your body to calm back down, maybe you do some yoga, that's what helps to bring your body to the place where it realizes, okay, time to turn off the stress. If you think about this, a lot of people will just close their laptop after work and then just walk to a subway or a car and they'll go home. And there's not a lot of physical movement after the stress of the day is over, especially working from home. If you just close your laptop and then you flop into bed, or you move, the next chair over and you eat something, there's not a lot of body movement there. So your body's not getting these cues. So you're going to bring your stress with you towards the evening, in the night, the next day. Your body doesn't know, oh, time to become de-stressed. Other things that will help you here are to spend time with people, especially in person. If you pet a dog or a cat, this helps to reduce your stress. You can, again, stretch or go for a hot tub visit, or go to the sauna, or do deep tissue massage or a regular massage. Also, if you go to stand-up comedy or improv and you're laughing, or you actually go to a sad movie and you're crying, or you just have a cry yourself, this is also a release for your body. You're not going to be laughing if you're still trying to run away from the lion or fight the person who you're in danger from. And so this is something that your body recognizes is only happening when you must be safe. Dancing and singing, other things that would not happen unless you're safe from the danger. Again, think physiological. So this is part of the issue here. If you're not doing these cues that are important each day, each week, then you're just going to be keeping stress accumulated in your body, and it's going to elevate over time, or it can. Now, breath work is one of the easiest ways to reduce your stress very quickly. So this demo here, I hope you're going to do it here at home or wherever you are watching this video. This is a really quick and powerful way for you to reduce your stress levels. It's called the physiological sigh. I'm going to demo it for you once, and then we're going to do it together 3 times. The way that it works is to take one long inhale through your nose, followed by a short inhale through your nose, and then you sigh it all out through an exhale through your mouth. It looks like this. So I'm going to count to 3, and we'll all do it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Every time I do this, I'm always surprised how quickly this works and how well this works. It's not going to cure all of your stress, but it is going to help you to calm down just a little bit. So this is something that's good to do even when in the moment where you're feeling stress. Let's say you need to think with a more critical, rational, empathetic mind about how to respond to the situation at work. You can do the physiological sigh a few times or go for a short walk. And I can almost guarantee you that the way you handle that situation is going to be better than if you try to do it immediately after getting an email, getting stressed. Just do something that breaks the immediate continuation from task to task to task when you're stressed. That's an important way to improve the way that you manage your work in a way that helps you to reduce the risk of burning out. So that's most of the content today, but a couple of bonus steps. It did mention, change the way you manage work. And here's one framework to help you do this, especially if you have people pleasing as a trait that makes it difficult to say no to people. So you can use the yes but framework in a way such that you're basically saying no without saying no. So somebody, your boss asks you, you need to do this new report. You can say, yes, I'd love to do this new report, but how about in 2 weeks? Or yes, but how about we revisit my priorities? There's another several things that I need to get done this week. And if you can help me to figure out where this new report fits into this current list so that maybe we deprioritize it, we get rid of something else, then I can do this. So yes, but let's negotiate or let's compromise is the way this framework works. It's important to step back and see the bigger picture of your life and how work is just one component of everything. And the wheel of life is one way for you to do this, to visually see this. The way it works is that you draw a circle and you slice it up into 6 or 8 different slices. And for each of those slices, you write down an aspect of your life. Here's an example. So you might put your work in one. You might put your health in another one. Maybe your relationships goes in another one. Your friendships or your family or your personal development or fun, hobbies. And in each of these, you're going to score how you feel about your level of satisfaction with that area of your life. So on a scale of 1 being this is horrible, I am not feeling at all satisfied by this, to 10 is like, wow, nirvana. This is phenomenal. I'm doing really well in this area of my life. What this helps you to do is to step back and see the bigger picture that, okay, maybe work is going okay, but I'm not really having so much fun. I haven't had a lot of fun in months. Man, that's a 2 right there. Relationships, I know those are important, but feeling that it's really only a 4. I haven't put much effort into it. But the wheel of life is another thing that can help you to really realize the state of your life beyond work. That's all I got for you today. Hope that was useful. More videos will be coming out. Check the other videos to see some other goodies as to how to manage your life and prevent or recover burnout. Also, check out the book. It's on Amazon. Really great read, if I do say so myself. But I put a lot of effort into to really making that a useful read for people. So I hope that helps. Anyway, best of luck. Be well.